What is up, grade 12s? Welcome back to another video with NosANA. Some of you guys already know. So in this video I am going to be going through the must knows of simplifying trig ratios. Some of you guys, if not the most of you or all of you, are already familiar with the cast diagram, right? So we know that we have four quadrants, quadrant 1 or the first, and then this will be the second, right? This will be the second, and this will be the fourth, sorry, the third. I don't know what's going on. So this will be the third quadrant, right? The third, and then we have the fourth quadrant, right? So as I already said, this is just a video going through the must knows of how everything works, right? So when it comes to simplifying trig ratios, or basically when it comes to trigonometry, it is a must that you understand the cast diagram. It is a must that you know it by head. It's an easy diagram to know, to memorize and stuff. So if you are in grade 11, if you are in grade 11 or grade 12 and yet you don't know this diagram by now, you are in trouble, and you need to make it a must that you know this diagram. Okay, so what we're going to do in this is to show you guys how reduction work. That is what I'm going to do, right? So basically that is what the diagram is about. It is to help you with reduction, or making your angles, or simplifying your angles, basically simplifying your angles, or like we're saying, simplifying ratios. So the first thing that we need to know, let us focus in the first quadrant, right? So in the first quadrant we have the first and the second, because here we have 90 plus theta. We have 90 plus theta in here, and then we also have 90 minus theta in the first. So we need to know, I need to show you guys what we call co-functions, right? Before we deduct, we have what we call co-functions. Okay, co-functions. If you didn't know these, make sure now that you do, and you don't forget them. So guys, what we call co-functions is anything that is involving 90 plus theta or 90 minus theta. That is what we call a co-function. And here's how they work, right? And why you must know them. Check this out. When you have, I'm going to start in the first quadrant. Okay, sorry. Before I go any further, here's what you need to know. In the first quadrant, everything is positive, right? In the first quadrant, everything is positive, which makes sense because when you look at this using algebra or functions, right? Remember our diagram, cast diagram, right? So in this case, we have a cast diagram. Okay, so how it works is this would be our x and this would be our y, and right, and then this would be our x as well, right? You guys get it. So over here we have positive and a positive, so that's why everything here is positive. But then this side now, I'm not going to go into much detail and explain why. Only sign is going to be negative. Only sign is going to be positive in this quadrant, and then in the third quadrant, only 10 is positive, right? Only 10 is positive, and then in the fourth quadrant, only cos will be positive. Okay, so let's go back to co-functions and how they work. Whenever you see yourself with cos, let me start with sine. Whenever you see yourself with sine 90 minus theta, whenever you see yourself with this, you should know that this 90 minus theta is in the first quadrant. There it is, 90 minus theta is in the first quadrant. So what you do now, if you want to reduce this, you will have to say it is equal to cos theta. That's how it works, and that's how it is, right? Whenever you see that you have sine 90 minus theta, because it is a co-function, it will have to change, right? Sine 90 minus theta changes to become cos theta, right? The reason, now you can see that it changed to positive cos. Why? Because it is in the first quadrant where everything is positive. So what you change it to will have to be positive. Now if you see yourself having sine 90 plus theta, right? Now notice that you have sine 90 plus theta, which is in the second quadrant. You can see it's in the second quadrant. Now what happens in the second quadrant is that only sine is positive, right? You see that only sine is positive. So sine is positive in this quadrant, so you're also going to just change it and make it what? You're also going to change it and make it cos cos theta, like that. Now let us work with cos. Now let us say that you are given cos, let's say you are given cos 90 minus theta. Okay, cos 90 minus theta. What this is going to be equal to, you are going to look in the first quadrant where 90 minus theta is. You see that everything is positive, isn't that? So now it's just going to be sine theta. When you reduce it, it will be sine theta. And now we're going to use the other one, which is cos 90 plus theta, right? Now watch this. Only sine is positive when you have 90 plus theta. If you can see that, only sine is positive in the second quadrant when you have 90 plus theta. So what you're going to do is you're going to change it. It will become minus now sine theta, like this, guys. So this is how the core functions work. Very easy, very easy to work with and to remember. So when you see this, guys, this is what you just need to do, and I hope that you understand this part. Alright, grade 12. So let us move on to other trig ratios. Okay, so in the second quadrant, everything has to be negative except for sine. So what I mean by that is if you have sine, right? So if you have sine 180 minus theta, if you have sine 180 minus theta, this will reduce to sine theta, right? Because it's in the first quadrant, so nothing changes. Now let us say that if you have 180 minus theta, when you reduce this, it has to be minus 10 theta. Why? Because only sine is positive in this quadrant. So if you have 10, then it will have to be negative 10, right? So that's that in the first quadrant. In the second quadrant. Now let us say you have cos. If you have cos 180 minus theta, when you reduce it, it has to be minus cos 180 minus theta. So basically that's how it works. You guys know all this, right? And if you don't, then you are in trouble. You need to make sure that you know this. Okay, so now the other one that we can do in the second quadrant is 10. Okay, so we did 10. All right, so we did 10 and we did cos. Sine, we can't do sine because it's in that quadrant, right? Like there it is. We did sine, we did 10, and we did cos. Okay, because we only have 3, right? Now let us do the others, so that for you guys, for those that do not know, we cover them as well before we move to the following one. Okay, so let us do the third quadrant, right? So the third quad. Okay, quadrant. Okay, so the third quadrant, what we have now is we have 10. So let us say you are given 10 180 plus theta. So now how you simplify, how you reduce this, it will just be positive 10 theta. It will be positive 10 theta, right? Because it is in the correct quadrant, in the third quadrant. And if you were given cos 180 plus theta, then what would it be? You've guessed it correctly. It will be minus cos. So notice we don't change the cos to sine because it is not a core function, right? So this would be negative cos theta, right? Now let us say you are given sine 180 plus theta. When you reduce it, what you get minus sine theta, like that. You guys, this is how we do this. We do the same thing in the fourth quadrant. Okay, I wouldn't mind just doing that as well. Okay, let's do that in the third quadrant. So the trick in the third, there's no trick, it's all the same. So in the fourth quadrant, here's the mistake again. Okay, so in the fourth quadrant, we have sine, we have 360. So if you have cos 360 minus an angle, right? If you have cos 360 minus an angle, how you simplify, or how you reduce this, it will just be cos theta, right? And if you have sine 360 minus theta, then this will be minus sine theta, right? And if you have now, if you have 10 360 minus theta, then this, ladies and gentlemen, will be minus 10 360. Okay, in any case that you have positive theta, then just know that you are going back to the first quadrant where everything else is positive. All right, so now we are going to do an example. So if there's anything that I've missed out, we will find out in the examples that I am going to put up. Okay, so here's the first example. What we're going to do here is we are going to simplify the trig ratio as they asked us to do. So check here. Over here we have sine 180 minus theta. When you always make it a must that you have your own cast diagram on the far right hand side of your paper, you know, as you're answering this, so you can see that, so you know what you're working with, right? Over here we have sine 180 minus theta, and you can look and you'll find out that it is in the second quadrant. It is in the second quadrant where sine is positive. All students take care, right? So here we have t. Okay, so you will see that it is in the second quadrant. And what is positive in the second quadrant? Only sine is positive. So you're going to just reduce this, and if you reduce it, it'll be sine theta. It'll only be sine theta, right? And you are subtracting the second angle, right? So always put the negative sign if there's a negative sign there. So put minus like that. Now what you have, yeah, you can put minus 2. Put minus 2. Now what you have cos 90 minus theta. Watch this. If you look at where 90 minus theta is, it is in the first quadrant, and what? Everything is positive. And remember, 90 minus theta, it is a co-function, and you have cos there. So it changes, and it becomes sine. So it just becomes positive sine theta. Positive sine theta, right? And you move on to the following one. Over here, you just have cos theta. Now what you know about this cos theta is that you can add 360 in there. It will be cos 360. It will be cos 360 plus theta, but it's fine. You can just leave it as it is. You can just leave it as it is because you can't reduce it. So you just write cos theta like that. Okay. And now what you're gonna do is do the bottom part. Right. So you're gonna simplify the bottom part as well. Now, okay, I like this one because we have a square there. So here we have 2. We can just write the 2 there. Okay. Now we have 360 plus, oh sorry, not x, theta. Okay, theta. We have 360 plus theta there. Now we're just gonna rewrite it. We're just gonna say cos squared x, right? Because the 360 doesn't make a difference. It's the same as starting from a point and stopping where you started, so it doesn't really make a difference. So it's just going to be cos squared theta like that, and then we subtract the other one. Over here we have minus cos, so put the negative sign, right? And now you can also put this in the bracket if you prefer, or you can just work with it like that, but I suggest that you put it in the brackets in case the cos reduces and becomes a negative. But over here it's not, because we have cos minus theta. So when you have a negative angle in there, you add 360. So it becomes cos 360 minus theta. And when it is like this, grade 12s, when it is like this, it means that it falls under the fourth quadrant, and cos is positive in the fourth quadrant. So it's just going to come out as cos theta like that. Okay. Trig is very easy if you practice. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it needs you to practice, right? So what we have now is we have a double angle, not a double angle, we have a compound angle. And how it has 2 sine theta times cos, right? So this will be a double angle for what? It will be a double angle for sine, if you remember, right? sine, so it'll be sine theta here. So yeah, it'll be sine theta there, and then this will be okay, grade 12. So what you have now is you have simplified it, right? And what you're gonna do is, or what I suggest that you do is, when you find yourself in this case, the first step that you should do is to find out if, or the first thing that you should do is to find out if there are common terms, right? So you can maybe factorize it. So that's what I can see that I can do here. I can factorize it, right? I have sine over here and I also have sine over here. So I'm gonna try factorizing it first. And remember, trig is all about trial and error. So when you're doing this, it's wiser to do it with pencil, and if you see that you've proved it or you've simplified it and you are confident with your answer, and then you just ink it and you erase the pencil, sorry. So here we're going to factor out sine, so it will be sine theta out, right? And then we have 1 minus 2 cos theta. Okay, so you will realize that paper 2, it just has a lot of paper 1 in it. You know, I mean, factorizing is coming from algebra. Okay, so here we're going to factor out cos theta like that. And what we have now is that, oh sorry, what we have now is cos, right? We have 2 cos. What we have now is 2 cos, okay, 2 cos theta minus 1. We have 2 cos theta minus 1. And what you will notice is that the top doesn't look like the bottom, right? And you can't cancel them because they are not the same. Okay, so what you do, grade 12, is that you need to make it look the same. And how you can do that is by taking out a negative from the top or the bottom, right? So let me rewrite. I'm going to take it from the top. Let me take out a negative from the top. So when I do that, I'm going to have sine theta, right, minus, okay, times, taking out a negative now, right, negative 1. So this becomes a negative 1 now. This becomes a negative 1. And then this would become positive 2 cos theta. Okay, so now to rewrite it now, this will come out and it will be over here. This will be minus. Let me just erase this. Okay, now what it's going to look like, we're going to divide it, and you can see that now it looks like the bottom part, right? So now we have cos theta, and then in here we have 2 cos theta minus 1, and you can see that the top looks like the bottom. You have positive cos theta on the top, and also you have positive cos theta on the bottom, and this minus 1 and that one, they cancel, so the entire bracket cancels, and now you have minus sine theta over cos theta. And guys, you know that this will be equal to minus 10 theta. So that's it for this video. You've got this. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe, and see you again in the next video. Cheers.